Hi, Scorpios, and welcome to your May 2023 General Tarot Forecast. This is Sky coming on to talk to you about your month ahead. Lots to talk about this month. As usual, intuitive messages followed by a week-to-week tarot forecast and an extended reading linked below on Patreon. Okay, Scorpios, intuitive messages for May. Let's get straight into it. I really like what I'm seeing with these tarot archetypes. I'm pleasantly surprised, actually. We have a lot of really positive energies coming in. Three major arcana cards, the Temperance, the Sun, and the High Priestess coming in. And then it's really nice to be seeing cards like Ace of Swords and Knight of Swords coming in this month as well. Nice, airy, quick-moving, not so prone to over gestating and overthinking things, as that I feel to be like one of the really hard things that Scorpio's been coming out of over the last few years is like analysis paralysis and being like really trapped in the mind and like really hesitant to take action. So I think action is really happening for you guys a lot in May. In fact, I would say that that's the main key word for you this month is action. Hopefully you can start to see where like the inaction and all the thinking and all the planning and all the deliberation, while maybe an important part in your development is starting to get like a little bit like overkill and a little bit too, I don't even know what the right word is. It's just kind of like a lot of energy too. Like it's surprising to see like how much these like planning phases that happen in certain signs development, these phases that people go through where they think about how they want things to be, or they consider or ponder like how things could be if this XYZ choice was made, how exhausting that is and how much energy that takes and how much more people need to like eat and sleep and time to move on from that, I think. And you have really good luck at acting. Okay, really good luck. You are also, we're moving into this period of time where it's the last moments of the South Node being in your sign. I believe by it's either late June or early July, the nodes will change into Libra and Aries. They have been in Scorpio and Taurus, of course, since early 2022. So it might be good to start thinking about what the moral of that story was, of that timeline, and what you want and what you don't want. And also, I feel like everything depends on how comfortable or overwhelmed you are about your projects. So it's really good to keep reducing things here in May. It's really good also to start accepting the abundance that you have and being smarter with what you have. I feel that the balance of the body, the Sun, the Temperance card, the High Priestess, this is like health balance, also what's going into the body being balanced, and then spiritual balance. So it's a very demanding month for you regarding balance. Also, the Two of Pentacles coming up, you're kind of like maybe rebalancing things. And I think that that's the main thing that is happening to you this month. And I think that these types of archetypes coming up for you are just so hopeful for that kind of forward movement. When I see months like these where it's so positive, I mean, really, we have the Three of Swords. We'll talk a little bit about it in a minute. It's not that big of a deal. I usually like to recommend people really make progress on what they're wanting to do. So what I will say is it's a really negative month for sitting still and not fixing anything, not changing anything, not like moving forward with anything. So you definitely want to see some forward progress here. And you want to see that the momentum that you've been going with since about like February of this year maybe steps up a little bit actually in May, and some of the things you've been thinking about for so long start to actually be resolved. So I think that that's another keyword for you alongside of action is a resolution as well. In fact, something I was talking about on Patreon in the weekly tea chats recently was about how much it's been helpful for me as a Scorpio to sort of like journal around this idea of like what small resolutions are coming in every day. Rather than facing things at a huge Goliath level, it's nice to make these small resolutions with one foot in front of the other. And then over time, you have basically a huge Goliath transformation. That's where it's going to be for you guys now. That's a very balanced approach to take. What's not so balanced is thinking, how can I change this all yesterday? How can I change the past? How can I change someone's feelings about me? How can I do some kind of like really potent action that totally shifts the entire spectrum towards a different favor. So another thing about this month is it's going to be as a result of very long running momentum what happens, and the action that you take needs to go in step with that momentum. So we don't want to try to go against the wind too much. We want to work with the wind and working with the natural elements to move forward. Again, the Knight of Swords being very much speed and quickness, and I think it really harmonizes well with the Temperance card, the Sun card, and the Ace of Swords. To also say that your ideas here are golden, and they really don't need that much more deliberation. They need execution. Okay, so deliberation moving to execution is good here in May. Also, inaction moving to action, stagnation moving to movement. All right. Yes, you are really starting to impact things. And in that way, it is karmic, because I think that what we're seeing here is actually like Scorpio, maybe for the first time in a long time, really actually exercising some of the capacity that they actually have, instead of just sitting on it, instead of just thinking what they could do with it. It's getting less subjunctive and it's getting more real. So I just want you guys to know that. And I want you to know that that's going to take a very balanced type of overseeing. It's going to take a very unemotional and willing to compromise, willing to also rise above certain pettinesses, willing to forgive. That type of stuff seems very important. It's very light. Okay, it's not so heavy here. It's not so red. It's not so over the top. This is a much more kind of like airy and breezy, and in that way mobile energy, rather than such a heavy and dense, immovable energy. So I just think that that's a good dialogue for you guys to consider right now. Let's talk about your week to week. Week 1, the Ace of Swords, rooted down by the Temperance card. Very balanced ideas, new balanced ideas. Keep a scratch pad by you during the first week of May, because I'm talking all about stepping into action, but yes, you are going to have some good ideas in the mind as well in the first week of May. So don't also shun the small inkling motivations. Okay, sometimes like if you're an artist or if you're a songwriter, you know how this works. Like you'll almost be falling asleep and you'll suddenly get that like injection. It's like maybe one line in the song, or it's one beat, or it's one small glimmer of the overall thing. I'm feeling like that comes in for you in the first week, and you might be pulled out of sleep, or you might also just really have muse as well starting to come back in, and the health of your body is really connecting to that. The amount of caffeine, the amount of hydration, the amount of chemical in the body, also the water that you're drinking or the water that you're around, take all of that into account, as that will help you to get more clear and pure within your motivations. Also, I do feel like something, it's a good combination. Okay, it's a great combination to have, but I feel that it can only come up like this wonderful Ace of Swords Temperance energy because we've really stepped into a major phase of damage control for a long time. So that could be for some of you too, like a many years of damage control now finally yielding a kind of like balanced Zen mind frame. Also, if that's not resonating, like if you're having a lot of volatility or a lot of like temper tantrums or a lot of like weird like money problems, relationship problems, maybe take this combination as an invitation to get things together and to get into a better space. Week number 2, the Two of Pentacles rooted down by the Queen of Cups reversed. There's something hard, okay, and there will be. And why do we have to take action on anything? It's because things aren't right, or it's because things are not currently working the way that they are. So that does mean certain amounts of destruction towards like that which is stagnated, broken, or unwieldy. So that, especially when we're talking about like sentimental spaces, or we're talking about also like really long running stagnation. Yeah, Scorpios are the only ones who can do it. The only catalysts with the South Node still empowering you. And it's you want to get this stuff moving with this push of the South Node still behind you in your sign over these next 2 months. But I will say, Scorpios, try to just make space for yourself. Give yourself also a few things that like brighten your day no matter what. As you might be having to deal with something kind of like tough or long running or very Saturnian. having Saturn trine you now, there's a lot of like psychological experiences that Scorpio now gets with the Saturn trine from Pisces that are like very long running, very old, and very difficult, and like you're the one called upon to solve that stagnation. So what this means is you probably need a really pure space to be in, whether this is just your bedroom, whether this is your house, whether this is that coffee shop that you can go to and do whatever you want, whatever kind of work you want or leisure that you want, whether this is like a library kind of space, whether this is your own home office, whether this is the balcony here, there, everywhere. I don't know. You need like certain like Zen spaces, I feel, because there's going to be some like psychologically heavy stuff. It's like almost like, what would I say? I can't even quite find the right psychic image to describe this, but it can be kind of like devastating sometimes when we deconstruct things that have been stagnantly ill for a very long time. And it's unsettling sometimes to see what that's made of and what is lingering in that kind of space. So I feel like Scorpio is like a catalyst of transformation for these types of dynamics. But you do need good coping, healthy coping infrastructures, I feel, in place to deal with this. So in some ways, I also feel, and you guys want to watch out for this, I also feel that this lends itself towards like majorly high spending or majorly like I'm seeing some Scorpios being like, whatever it takes to still afford my like weekly massages, whatever it takes to still afford this like certain like type of lifestyle. It's okay quite temporarily here, but you want to see this resolved in the larger 2023 story, okay? Because it's kind of like okay in small bursts, especially if you're like the universe is very understanding with this kind of thing if you're dealing with something like really heavy and stagnant, but it's only in that type of circumstance. So you want to like also understand the way that things move into a more like sensible place as well. If anything is like above the means, Queen of Cups reversed can sometimes be like emotional spending. The Two of Pentacles can also be like, which bill am I paying, or what am I gonna like do? And I do feel that some of you still have too much on your plate. So by the time the South Node is out of Scorpio, which I want to go ahead and get a date for you guys. You might hear me clicking around as I'm trying to find that exact date, because I feel like it's a good deadline for getting certain things in order. Let's see. Still quite a while. Okay, we're looking at around July 19th, 2023. Okay, for when the nodes change signs and you no longer have the South Node in your sign. So yeah, that's a pretty incredible, I guess, 2.5 month period or 2 month period, depending on when you're watching this video, to really push through some final power changes into your life. But I do feel it's kind of expensive for some Scorpios. And I think that it might just have to be, but you do want to understand the like deadline for that kind of thinking, because it's not a sustainable method. Week number 3, the Sun rooted down by the Three of Swords. Okay, I'm going to kind of change the tone of this reading a little bit. You have it, okay? You have what you need. You have some type of universal support. The broken heart doesn't need to be here. Also, you could be like heartbroken for somebody else, like seeing that it, for some Scorpios, it's like maybe you're working with like the homeless, or you're working with like food shelters, or you're working, with food banks. You're working with something. I'm seeing a lot of Scorpios working in like charitable positions or people-based positions. So you might be getting more exposure to like certain underrepresented groups as well, okay? And I feel like there's something like that. There's something kind of humanitarian, and I do think that a lot of Scorpios are wanting to get on that kind of track or wanting to like help out more, but you have to get your own oxygen mask on first. Also, let me step back to the message that was initially trying to came through before that one came in on top of it. You might see that someone from your past is really struggling. You could also have like exes reaching out for loans of money. You could have that happening at a more symbolic level, or even like a different level of plane, okay? So I do feel that there can be envy with the Sun and the Three of Swords, absolutely. So careful about grandstanding, careful about any kind of like bragging or boasting. I feel, okay, Scorpios, this is important. The Scorpio who like brags or boasts like even twice can lose so much. All right. There's no room for it. There's no room for any kind of like, well, I have this or I have this status. How dare you talk to me like that? Or I have like, do you even know like what I can commandeer? Like all of this kind of like really haughty, egotistical stuff. It was really like starting to like bloom in 2022. It's only a detriment now. So try to really, it's not just about humility, but it's about understanding pros and cons to things which we've maybe like been programmed to think are flawless. So like wealth or ownership or any of these like, like status constructs being seen as like only a positive thing. I don't think so. Okay. Because it does invite with it a lot of negatives like security issues, like envy, like theft, like so much more than any of this. But like that's why we don't want to like brag and boast for sure, because you can kind of start to like open up to that type of stuff. And this is definitely one of those times that I would recommend, and this has been this way ever since like 2020, just like take it down a notch. Like let the wealth be there, but like it doesn't mean that we need to like go insane. And then if you're someone who has like a lot of like Venus Jupiter in your chart or something, and you need to like really express, it's not even about expressing wealth, but it's kind of like I want to wear all the gold or all the diamonds or something, or I want to have like all the flowers in the house, and that's fine in the house. But we are in a paradigm that's kind of weird for lavish gestures. And I do definitely see a lot of people who actually can't afford it demonstrating it. And then also getting like all the cons or all of the difficulties of someone who actually could afford it without like the pro of like actually having it. So that's a nice little riddle for you guys to deconstruct, but consider things like that here. On the other side, you have more than you need, and it's time to step into more reception. Of course, we have this major Taurus stellium, okay? In May, 6 planets, 6 bodies in Taurus, opposing you on your axis. This can be a major wealth generation time for you, whether this is like physical wealth or whether this is like a wealth of knowledge, a wealth of, it's probably more material though, right? With the sign of Taurus. So try to understand what the universe is trying to give to you. As I do see many signs, not just Scorpio, who are kind of like boxed in and in a way like blindfolded in like a certain muscle memory. Therefore, they're not really open to like receiving anything else. So that's why I've been suggesting reduction this year, so that there's actually time and space to actually like have some kind of like connection to something that's not just our own effort, okay, and blood, sweat, and tears. So this is also a good dialogue for the Sun and 3 of Swords. That can be like blood, sweat, and tears. That can be like my vitality is like going to so many different things and there's nothing left over, and you want to redo that formula. Math equations, Scorpio. Algebra, really good to understand how things work in like a very exact kind of way, because Scorpio, again, it's a fixed water sign, so it's very much in the realm of like ethereal symbolism, like things that are very like subjective, and thinking what something means and what it signifies and how it's categorized and these different time periods and this different context. And some of you need to do some math, okay, and start to develop a part of your brain that actually has an exacting precision to it, and not just kind of like a wavy kind of, but that's fine also with Neptune in Pisces and Saturn in Pisces, but it might be good to also like exercise that other part of the brain. Week number 4, the Knight of Swords, rooted down by the High Priestess. Okay, spiritual progress. It's over. It's done. Something is there as a moral for you. You've done it. You've come through. You've told the story. You have done, I think, blood, sweat, and tears, many of you. And we can't get that back. But what we can now have is more time or more openness to the universe. I'm seeing major spiritual paths as well. I'm seeing kind of like monks or nuns or something like that coming through, and a very quick like connection to some kind of like major spiritual journey. Even if that's coming through more symbolically. And I'm not saying that you are like becoming a nun or becoming a monk, but it's kind of what I'm seeing. Like, yeah. So I don't know. There's some kind of like spiritual growth for sure, and fast spiritual progress. Maybe you're like doing religious studies. Maybe you're doing maybe it's not even that. Maybe it's like this stagnation that you've dealt with and cleared up is so gosh darn significant to like have seen happen over like a really long period of time. So anyway, Scorpios, I'm going to conclude your reading there. I'm going to do an extended for you guys though, as if this reading wasn't full enough of major messages to like deconstruct for like many months to come. But yeah, that will be linked below in the center of your screen. I'm going to get some central themes and significators. I'm going to take it to a more mundane level, and we're going to talk about some more actually skin level stuff over there. So let's do that. Come check out the Patreon page. It's a great value. I do weekly forecasts for all the signs. Well, it's for all signs. It's not like each sign is like done a individual forecast for, but I do an all signs weekly forecast. I do these readings early and ad free. It's a great service. Come check it out. You get all of that content with the one membership, only for a limited time at this point, though, because stuff may change. So come get that while it's still available at that low price for everything. Anyway, Scorpios, thank you so much for being here. Let's go do this extended. Bye.